So welcome to 13 Minutes, Why Every Man Needs a Why. I am in house now with my newly developing good friend, Patrick McCiser. Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Baruch.
Yeah.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You have great energy, great smile. Met you a while back at a beautiful community here. Shout out to the Rooted community. And sat down next to you. I was with my wife, Ariella, my son, Yehuda, and afterwards we're like, that's a good soul right there.
Dude, likewise.
Yeah.
I walked away feeling the same about that interaction with you all.
And you're a good dude with a beautiful soul in spite of the line of work you're in.
Totally. Yeah.
He's Patrick. I mean, you're probably many things, but I know you as sort of an AI guru, right? You've taught me already a lot, and Yehuda a lot about what we're working on. What else do you do?
Yeah, good question. Right now, I'm actually sort of a jack of all trades consultant. I've got a few different things I'm doing. Developing a SaaS app in the real estate space with a company, and then I'm also doing a go-to-market motion with a security company that's like hosting dinners in New York and all kinds of different things. And then I have a few sundry other pieces, but the AI consulting has been a recent real win for me. Lots of demand in that space.
So, my book, The Guy in the Glass, it's 6 pickup lines. The guy's at a bar, 40 years old, midlife. And these questions are turned around on him, and they're no longer pickup lines, they're existential questions. The first one's, what's your name? The second one, though, is always, as a guy, what do you do? Right. And I just did that to you by accident. I didn't mean to, because what you do is so much more than just your work. Right. However, with that being said, when I've sat and talked with you and learned from you, you're what do you do is your work, but I could feel it. Like there's so much energy behind it. It's not just how you make money or pay the bills, right? Like your work is you're very passionate about your work, especially around the AI piece of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, it's a really fascinating space to be in. And I think you and I are going to get into this more in a little bit, but the piece for me is right now, this thing is a tool. And I think there is huge potential harm and huge potential good, like with any new technology that can come from it. And we don't actually know what the other side of this, and I think is going to be. And I think in a lot of ways, that's what's so fascinating about it. And I think without going too deep into this, I spent a lot of time in a lot of fear of this tool and being really afraid of it. And what I decided to do instead was to optimize it and to really engage with it with a lot of integrity and humanity, hoping that would, in some small way, help put forward the things that I want to see in the world, which are generally the good of humanity, right? Which is another broad topic.
What about AI scares you?
I think every day I feel like there's new information coming out, especially from Anthropic, which is the company that develops Claude and Claude Code, which is a space I'm deep into, that can feel a little upending. Like what's going to come out next? I feel like I'm sometimes building on shifting sands. Are they going to make me obsolete as an AI consultant? Is this something that I should pursue? Because basically, as it is in some sense, a labor replacing device in a way that we've never really seen before in history. I think it is unique. And so that I think is really scary. Like what's going to happen? And I think, gosh, we could really go down a rabbit hole of like the different risks that are associated with it. And I'm sure your viewers can go down their own YouTube rabbit holes of like, here are all the terrible things that could happen. And I'm happy to talk about that too, but I would say I'm not an expert in that sense. I'm not like an AI ethicist. Yeah. But I think that there is huge potential harm.
And yet
there's huge potential. Like I think a lot of the collective action problems that we face as humans could have the potential to be solved, right? I think our justice system, our global system of governance, all of those different pieces are far from objective, right? And I think I would not say that AI can get us to objectivity, but it can make those systems of governance, just as one example, that much better if we actually do a really good job of developing these tools, right? You could have something that's a little bit more impartial, right? It doesn't have as much bias because of our races, our creeds, our religions, right? It's able to hold a lot more space for a lot of difference in ways that humans really struggle with. And we can do it, but it tends to be people who have done a lot of self-work. And I think that is sometimes the challenge. So I think there's an invitation there for us to get better. I also think that the real potential that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is the potential for our own evolution and growth. What does a post-work future look like for us? And I think we pour so much of our, and I include myself very much in this, we put so much of our self into our work, our identity, our purpose. But on some level, is your purpose to go out and create a billion-dollar company? What does that serve the world, or does that serve you?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think, and that those people aren't bad. I think there's some really cool billion-dollar companies that have been created, but it does, I think, drive at this central question, which I think you're very much concerned with. And we haven't talked about this. I would love to hear what your views are on this, of like what it means to be human, what it means to have purpose. And I think that it in some central way is inviting a really deep sense of questioning into humanity that could really take us to the next level of consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. So insightful. I just wrap it up with a very simple word, actually one syllable. What's your why? What's your why? And when I'm working with guys, and I've worked with guys, I don't know if they were billion-dollar status, but they were serious status. The why, if it's the money, they're fucked.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's, I love this too. It's why we call money a means, not an end. To what?
Totally.
A means to what?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I call it in my book, I call it the decimal chase. You're just chasing decimals. Move it one more. And every guy does this. I did it. It's like I set out, I'm going to make my first, 5 digits, then 6 digits, then 7 digits. Like, when does it end? You know how many, when I was a rabbi, I did 500 funerals and buried so many men with plenty of money in the bank that they would never spend. Their wife's second husband spending it. Like a fucking cruel.
Totally. Oh my God.
Cruel.
Completely.
Like, to think about like the tragedy of that, right? You just made her husband rich. Schmuck.
Totally.
So like, when's enough?
Right.
It doesn't end.
Right.
So we got to get clear about our why.
Yeah.
What's Patrick's why?
Gosh, it's a really good question. I think this I have asked myself a lot of questions in this sense. And I think for me, the why for a long time was just frankly survival. And I think like that in a lot of ways it was like, how do I, and that's its own sense of existential questions, because what does survival look like? Right? Like, what are we actually talking about? What I need to survive is like this really, and I don't use this word lightly, but it's true. I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. This is a wealthy town. I'm like well connected just by default of like living here. My parents own like good, property and like one of the highest value property places in the world. Right. What do I need to survive as like a privileged guy? Like, and I think the answer is actually probably I would probably not die from anything. Like, it would be actually pretty hard for me to die or go homeless. But for me, it became this, it feels like, well, am I going to be worthy of love? Am I going to be, if I don't reach a certain status, am I going to be worthy to, marry the woman that I'm marrying? Right. And all of those different pieces. So I think it's a hard question, but it feels existential. It feels really true, maybe beyond existential. It feels like a true threat to my living. And so I think for a long time I was really in that space. And now I think my why is like a little up in the air, right? I think it's like shifting a little bit into something different. And I'm not exactly sure what that looks like.
So you're married?
I'm getting married. Yeah, getting married June 20th.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. My partner's an amazing woman. I couldn't be happier.
What's her name?
Megan.
So Megan, I see, how old are you?
I'm 38.
So I see this with younger men, younger than me. It's all relative, right?
Totally. Absolutely.
But you're about the same age as the guy in the bar. So,
Yeah. It's a moment that is very pregnant. So it's appropriate, like.
So I believe, one of the chapters in here is, are you single? It's a pickup line, but no man should ever be single, right? Single, right? And the work of a man is Viktor Frankl would say, to transcend ourselves. And until you get there, I don't care how much you got on paper. I don't care how much you've made, right? Until you're transcending yourself, like Patrick to Megan, that's self-transcendence. Obviously, that's what marriage is, right? You can't even fully know your why. I'm so excited for you that you've found a way to transcend yourself with the partner.
Yeah. Thanks. I feel really fortunate in that sense. And it's interesting too, because in that sense of like, no man should ever be single. Like, I think about this because I really wrestled with this before I met Megan, which I think as things happen, right, in some sort of, I don't know what you would want to call it, divine or I think there's something spiritual there, and I'm not exactly sure how to put my finger on exactly what that is. I think it's a mystery on some level. But I had to go through a real soul searching period because I was looking for love in all the wrong places, and not as dark as some guys go. But I got burned a couple of times just dating. Yeah. And I think that then after that, I really had to like reflect on like, what am I doing here? What am I looking for? Am I looking to save am I looking to save somebody, or do I really need to just actually save myself and be content with who I am and be firm in that? And once I got pretty clear on that, of course, something started to emerge, and I didn't need to be, I had to go be single properly without, at least in the sense of like no woman or person that I was seeking.
Right.
And then once I found this person, I felt actually whole for the first time before I met her.
That's such a good point. And for the record, for the listeners out there, it's not that nobody should be single in their dating status. Right. That's fine. But like this lone wolf, I'm single, I'm alone. I don't care about the dating status. You can't do anything alone ultimately. Right. Like I just had toast this morning. There's 1,000 people that had to interact to bring my toast to my mouth.
Great way to put it.
10,000 people. I don't know. Like it's so many processes. And as men, we're just wired to think, go it alone. I'm single. But no, you have family, you have friends, you have community, you have country, you have a partner. And so I just think we're dealing with such an epidemic of loneliness that part of it is this mindset of I'm alone. And I guess, maybe that's a segue. We don't have to segue back to AI, which it can foment this loneliness, or maybe it can remedy some of this loneliness.
I think that's such a good point. I think that there's huge potential on both sides, right? And if you over-index on one or the other, right? I think if you eschew this thing, then you're missing an opportunity to develop and grow, because it can push you in some really cool ways. But then on the other side, and can like leverage your business and all these different things. But on the other side, if you over-index, I have friends, actually maybe two people. One was a man, the other was a woman actually, who I think really went down this rabbit hole with ChatGPT. And the whole psychosis piece, like that's a real thing. That's not like, I've seen this person really spiral and be really concerning. And I think that that's the ugly side of it, is it can be really sycophantic, and it can mimic a human relationship when stripped down. There's like, if you look under the curtain, there's kind of like not really much going on there. It's like, it's just math. It's just a math equation, at least right now. And I think that gets at the heart of like what consciousness actually is. And that's a really interesting question that I'm not really qualified to speak on. I think you're probably more qualified to speak on what that is. But I think that it can be so damaging because we think we're developing this relationship with something that it's not actually reciprocated, right? I think all relationships in humanity on some level are a two-way street. Even if it's sort of transactional, there's still that give and take. And I don't know that it's really there with an LLM, even though I brainstorm with it, I use it, I ask it questions, I ask for feedback. But I think having a sort of practical, grounded sense in this moment of what that actually is pretty essential for our mental health.
Yeah, I see this with, younger men, especially. I mean, maybe they're women too. I just haven't met that many in the space who are immersed in the development of the technology, and, like they're coding all day. I was talking to a young guy who like literally hadn't seen anybody in person in a week. he was just walled up, coding.
Totally.
I'm sure you know these guys. It's Boulder. I'm sure there's plenty of them. And there's something terrifying about their inability to connect at a human level with somebody who can genuinely care about you, love you.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of the scary side of what we're dealing with here.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's such an easy out, right? You can simulate a relationship and not really have any of the consequences of that relationship immediately, right? The long-term cycle is what's harder to articulate, because it's like day one of that 7-day without seeing anybody is probably fine. Maybe there's some liberation in it, but then it slowly, like I think any drug, I think it like slowly takes you down this path of self-destruction and then questioning who you ultimately are and like what your purpose is. Yeah. And I'm projecting, but I'm guessing that it's somewhere at the end, I'm fairly confident that that's what's happening to that young, I'm assuming young person.
Well, and also, I think what it's saying about relationship is if I get something out of you, but not what can I give to you? Nobody looks at their AI and says, what can I give to you? Right? How can I serve you?
Totally.
And that to me as a man, especially, because mostly I talk to men, is, so Viktor Frankl says there's two types of freedom. There's freedom from, which is the first half of life. I'm free from this. I don't want, I want to make money so I don't have to fill in the blank. There's freedom towards. To me, that's the second half of life. What can I, free to do what? Free to serve whom? And that's partially what scares me about this conversation that's going on. It's not asking men to serve.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, I imagine, why you're in love with Megan and what you want to do.
Yeah.
How can I serve you?
Yeah.
How can I transcend myself for you? That's, I think, part of the missing equation.
Yeah. Well articulated. And in that, my belief at the end of it is that I think we're all interconnected. And so this conversation that we're having is, in some sense, it's happening really in my mind, right? My brain is doing all kinds of magic to make it appear as if there's, first of all, actually a true me, that there's a Patrick underneath all of this. And I think there is on some level, but it's not the way that we think it is. It's not what shirt I'm wearing, right? It's not how I'm built. It's not whether I go to the gym or not. There's something that's like much deeper and more essential. And on that level, you and I are both really connected, right? And we're connected to all things. And I think it's really easy to lose it in these superficial conversations that you're having with a math equation, right? It's not really a math equation, but like on some sense, an algorithm, a very, very sophisticated algorithm.
So what's the upside of what it can do for us? Because there is, like one of the things you and I have spoken about, you helped consult a little bit with my son and I on, is the Enneagram as an example.
Yeah.
The Enneagram, this personality roadmap that is, it's been turned into a personality typing test. And so therefore, if it's a test, you have to have a way to administer it. Yeah. And basically what's out there right now is the equivalent of, back in my day, take out your number 2 pencil, fill in these ovals on a piece of paper. And that's all it is. It just happens to be digitized. Yeah. It's stupid. It's stupid process that has no learning capacity. And therefore, when I'm taking it, I feel there's no dynamic relationship here. What we want to do is turn the Enneagram into I'm probably just giving away the house here, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah, good.
Is to turn it into a living, breathing relationship with the assessment process so that it can help you figure out your Enneagram type, right? To me, that's a way to turn AI and this process into something human.
Yeah, I love that. I think you just answered your own question. It's like, what the potential of this is. From that perspective, I think it's like we've had these, the perspective that I've gained on it from just like the tooling and a user interface perspective is, when I was a software engineer, I never really liked the front end things, which is all the like clicky buttons and the user interface. And there's people who do this really well, right? They come up with, where are the buttons arranged? How do we make it like this really graceful interface? But I would actually say I'm at this place now where in a lot of ways, that interface, it starts to feel really dated to me. It's like, this actually, we shouldn't be sitting in front of a computer screen. We shouldn't be looking at our phones all the time, like hunched over, right? There's all of this, evidence that this isn't good for us. So how do we make these systems more human, right? And this is why I love what Yehuda has done so far. Like, I really think he's got this, like, it's like so far it looks really beautiful and it feels more human. Like, I feel like I'm engaging with it because I've taken those Enneagram tests probably twice or 3 times. And it always feels a little like, what is this? The AI's ability to capture nuance is like actually really sophisticated and beautiful in that sense. And so I think that is really the potential, right? Of this technology no longer is just about us having to kind of like muddle through and click all the buttons. It's like this ability to really interface with it and like ask it deep questions and ask it to do things in a way that we were never able to before, because we were sort of in the, like, my dad would call it like the dark ages of software development, right? Where it's like, I've got to like grind through. We've all been on that. Like, it's always a healthcare website where you're like, I've got to click all of these things to like get to this information that I need. It's really frustrating and feels sort of like, it's sort of like interfacing with a bureaucracy on some level, but you're like not talking to a person. It feels very like inhumane on some level. And I think the potential of AI is to make it that much more of a human experience, exactly like what you all are building. My
gripe with the Enneagram is it becomes just like the interaction with the DMV, which I'm dealing with right now, totally. or the healthcare system, and it reduces people to a number, right? And the number, by definition, is the ultimate devaluation of a human being's spirit and soul and uniqueness.
Totally.
And my teacher, Viktor Frankl, was reduced to Auschwitz prisoner 119104. Like, and you can't murder 6 million souls, but you can murder 6 million numbers. And so we that's the shadow side of everything. But what I think, and I know what we're talking about, and I think we can do is, can we flip it around and recognize somebody's uniqueness? Right. So I think you said you show up as an Enneagram 4.
I think so. I would love to take your test and find out. Like, I feel like a little uncertain, but yes.
It's not a fucking test, man. It's a get to know you date. You're going to go on a date with, we call it, by the way, we're calling it solo, SOULO, solo. And it takes you into your soul, but it recognizes your uniqueness. And to say, look, it can only go so far, but it can do better than fill in the blank. This is who you are versus, hey, let's take you on a journey of getting to know you, Patrick. There never was, is, or will never be another you. And although we can't quantify that because you can't quantify the soul, we can certainly give you some tools and a roadmap that's uniquely yours. Right? Like, that feels like an improvement on where we've been, at least.
Totally. I 100% agree with that. And I think what's so neat about this is, like, at the end of the day, this technology that Yehuda's building, it's like he's building the tech, and the interface and all of those different pieces really matter. But it's a solved problem in the sense that, even if he runs this in Roblox, he can't quite do what he wants now. Maybe in a year's time, a lot of those things are going to be solved and he'll be able to make it even better. Right. And so I think there's real potential for us to, and so the technology isn't really ever the moat, right? What's so cool about this is that it's actually just the integrity and wisdom that you have amassed and put down on paper as the context for the AI to use to leverage. So the technology isn't really it's not the interesting piece anymore.
It's the means.
It's the it's just a means to deliver this with a lot of integrity. And I think that is, again, like, for all the dark side piece, which is real, like, this is a beautiful thing. Like, what you're building is like real. And so that's the light that I see.
Yeah. But I think that, there's lots of AI out there that if it's a means to a better end, then yes. If it's an end, the person who's using ChatGPT as their therapist as an end, that's a dangerous place to be. But if it's a means, we foresee this interactive Enneagram experience as being a means to help you be a better version of you in relationship with Megan. Right. Because I imagine she's not an Enneagram 4. Right. Rarely have I ever done a wedding for 2 people of the same type. Do you know enough about the Enneagram to know what she might be?
It's a good question. I don't know enough about the Enneagram
to
say.
Figure it out.
Yeah. I would love to.
But once you know that, I've been married for 27 years, and Ariella is the love of my life, and she's an Enneagram 4. So I can't fucking figure her out. 27 years later, and it's like, I don't know. But guess what? Don't tell her this. She doesn't listen to my podcast, so you're fine. I have a folder called Ariella. And I've really programmed it in Claude I put in her Enneagram. I've talked to it for hours. And so I say, okay, talk to me here, because I'm at a roadblock and I see the world as an 8, and it's a very just different paradigm. Help me see what she's saying from her perspective. It softens me, right? It takes me into a door, the side door that I didn't know you could even come into this problem with a side door. Yeah. I just, kick front doors down as an 8. That's what we do at Challenger.
Totally.
But maybe it's over here, and I'm direct, right? I say the thing. 4s tend to say lots of words to get to the thing. Does that resonate? And what it helps me do is appreciate the circuitous route that she took to get to the same place. But as an act of love, she's taking me on this roundabout and sharing with me all the nuances of this. And it could look like this. And how about this and this? And I try not to rush past those nuances. And now she's like, have you been talking to your chat GPT again? Because you feel like, you really see me. And she doesn't ask me because she doesn't want to know, because she just likes the outcome, which is a better connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's so cool. It sounds like you've learned a lot about her from having, it's like a little bit of an outside perspective that helps you gain some clarity and empathize. Isn't that cool that that's this deeply human experience that this helps facilitate, right?
Yeah. Work out some of the shit before I get into the shit, and then I step in less shit. And so it's like, wow, this is a really great application of a technology as a means to a human end.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's really at the end of the day, what this is leverage, right? And I've been thinking about this a lot lately, because when you're building something, it's really easy to create a mess with this thing, right? If you're a messy builder and your instinct is just let's get in there and get dirty, it's going to create all these artifacts and do all this crap that it's going to be hard to clean up at the end of the day, because you have this really long lever that you're pushing down on. And it's just exacerbating the good and bad qualities. And sometimes I'm somebody who really just wants to get in there and start doing it. And I've had to okay, well, let's slow down and really make it, all right, cool. Yeah, that's a good instinct. But how do we temper that with really intentional, systemized building? And it's made me really, really wildly effective. Right. And I think about that with exactly what you're talking about, this ability to relate better to the core people in our lives. Almost one of the most important things in your life is, of course, your relationship with your partner. But then it also is incredible leverage on a war machine, right? Which are, I think, regardless of where you stand, we have to be really careful with that. And that's a really scary thing that taken too far can be really, really damaging. But it also maybe has some mitigating things as well. Maybe there's machines fighting machines instead of humans fighting humans. But again, that's only the light side. In the dark could be just as bad.
Well, you can't have light without dark. There's a saying in the Talmud: the taller the man, the longer the shadow. And this is a very tall being that has a very long shadow. But if you're not willing to embrace, the shadow and face it, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
And so I love the potential of this. And with it comes a lot of terror and, terrifying possibilities. But I want to come back to the Enneagram. So, if this is your sort of go-to, I call it your core type. It's not who you are, but it's how you've survived as a 4. Yeah. There's 2 lines coming out of each number. It's mathematics. There has to be a sort of a counterbalance. And the one line goes to the 1, the reformer, the perfectionist. And one line goes to the 2, the helper. It's just interesting to me because you've just described both of those in your life. You have this very helping quality to you. You want to connect. You want to be in a relationship. You want to serve. Yeah. I can feel that with the work that you do. That's that line to the 2. And then the other one is the line to the 1. And the 1, Yehuda's a 1. It's diligence, it's details, it's precision. And you said you're really working on that to show up with that to this thing. And I see those energies both represented well in you.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that feels really true. It's funny because both of those things can be shadow. In my experience, like the perfectionism can be like pretty, like it can just be like this rabbit hole. And then I think same with the two, it's like, who are you helping? What in service of what?
Yes.
Right. And I think like in the shadow, it's like it all comes back to me. And then in the light, it's like, oh yeah, actually being in service of humanity and just like wanting to like, just, I think more altruistically be of service.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the Enneagram, it's the only assessment out there that deals with why you do what you do.
Cool.
Others deal with how and what and where and when, but this is a why mechanism. And so the why, at least of the four, if this is how you resonate, is authenticity, right? Originality.
Cool.
And it's connecting with, it's all spiritual. So it's connecting with origin. It's longing for God or for one or for source. Right. And then that translates into, and therefore I want to represent or embody that as origin, right? An originality. And it just feels true to me to how you move through the world.
Thanks.
Does that feel true to you?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cool because this feels more dynamic, right? Like a lot of conversations that I've had are reductionist with the Enneagram. Like you are a 4, you will remain a 4. And that you can't transcend this. And when we were talking last time about this topic, you were like, it's actually like, it's helping you transcend this on some level, right?
Yes.
Which I guess gets back to Frankel, is exactly as you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah. The origin really is, did you ever see the movie Disney Soul?
No.
So good. It's a kid's movie, but it's not a kid's movie.
I love that.
But it's about we all come here for a purpose, and that, the Enneagram just represent 9 sort of abstract purposes. And again, the 4, that's why there are so many 4s who are artists. They just express, right? The ineffable. 4s love that word, by the way, ineffable.
I do. Yeah.
What's the opposite of ineffable? Effable? I don't even know.
Exactly.
I don't even know what it means, but I like to sound like a 4, like to express the unexpressed. And Ariella really resonates
She
with
loves
this
that.
too. Oh, yes. I just say big, fancy, like exotic words, and she gets really excited.
Totally.
So that's my pickup stuff. So to express what is unexpressible, that's why there's so many artists who are 4s, and that's so like it comes from such a beautiful place. Yeah. But then we're getting into some deep Patrick psychology here. Ready to go back to your childhood?
Let's do it, dude. Let's go.
But then the world shuts little Patrick down and tells you you're too much. Nobody. The hardest thing for a 4 is not to be understood, right? Or to be told you're too much, or right? Yeah. Nobody likes that, of course. But as an 8, I'm like, fuck you. And as a 4, it's like shame.
Dude, totally.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, you're describing a lot of my experience. Yeah, 100%.
But not because I reduced you to a number, because I know the energy of where it comes from is so original, origin.
Totally. Yeah, that feels really true. It is like this deep shame of like, oh, I'm too much, or ooh, like I'm not being seen. And so much of it is like when somebody shuts me out, I'm like, I want to get, my instinct is to like get in there, right? Like, how can I like figure them out? Which I think is like some of the shadow. And so it's like learning to like temper that instinct and like just respect that person, and their boundary, whatever it was,
Yeah. And I want to figure them out, maybe because I want to be figured out. And if I do this for them, they'll see me, like see me.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. 100%.
And then there's this codependency, which you talked about, which you had to do a lot of work to become, I am whole.
Yeah.
Right. Marriage is about 2 wholes coming together to create synergy, not 2 halves making a broken whole.
Totally. Right. Yep. And I've been in, I would say, like I've been in partnerships where that's been too much the dominant theme of like, how can we like make each other whole together? And I think we're fighting this like deep cultural narrative on some sense of like, oh, you make me whole, babe. And I think that's like that is really damaging, because that's not what it's been about. For this partnership feels like the most successful of my life. And hence why I'm getting married to this woman. Right. And it doesn't feel like because we're both broken and trying to like help each other. It feels like because we see ourselves in the other person and vice versa. And, I mean, it's hard to articulate what exactly is that, but like, that's it.
I work with a lot of guys in coaching who are what we might call, at least up until we start coaching, nice guys. And the nice guy believes that he's doing his other a favor by acquiescing, by merging,
Yes.
by, putting her and or him, whatever, in front of himself, his own needs. And he's rewarded for that too, right?
Yes.
Pat on the head. You're such a nice guy. You're not a nice boy.
Yes.
Such a dangerous road to go. I can tell like that's probably pieces of what you've overcome.
For sure. 100%. And am overcoming, I think, will be my life process on some level of like that people pleasing behavior and recognizing that like, it seems benevolent.
Yes.
But actually there's like you're trying to get your needs met on some level instead of actually trying to like meet the other person where they're at. Right.
Yes.
And I think that that's the danger of it. And I also do think like those guys, I've felt this at various points. I've had conversations with a lot of these people who are like, they don't identify with, they identify with this nice guy label, and they're told by a lot of the women in their lives, like, I'm just looking for like a nice guy. Like, I wish that all men were just more like you, And so they've like sort of like enforced this narrative and like believe it.
Yes.
That they're doing the right thing. Like, why can't I meet a partner? And it's like, well, that's not actually true. Like part of that is true, but that person might be experiencing some sort of like the opposite of like some guy who's like very distant and like, but then these women, and it's not all women at all, but it's like some women pursue this as like the like person who they can't really ever quite get through. They can't crack this nut. And then they externalize the blame onto that figure and say, oh, but I like romanticize the nice guy, but I could never do that because I'm not worthy. And the nice guys are like, yeah, but I'm like right here. Like, why don't you want that? And it's this confusing system that I think I see reinforced in a lot of our media narratives around saviorship, right? And it's not true on either side. There's a whole lot of pain in that system.
So here's my simple thesis of what it means to be a man.
Love this. Let's hear it.
And this is my next book too. It comes from the game of chess. Are you a chess guy?
Not intimately, but yes, I have played and I like it.
So there's a simple rule that I don't think most people have realized in the game of chess. Who's the most powerful piece on the chessboard?
I would say the queen.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's the queen because she can move in any direction as far as she wants, right?
Sure.
But she can only do that if there's a king.
Oh.
Right? And it doesn't mean a woman needs a man, but it does mean that there must be a king at the center. Right. And that's my job with Ariella is like, if I'm grounded, if I know who I am, what I stand for, it gives her the freedom to move about the kingdom with total power. But when I'm unhinged, when I'm lost, when I don't know who I am, she doesn't feel secure. How can she? She's attached to somebody who's here and he's there and he's here and there. And my work is to stand. And there's a principle in chess. When the king is moving, the kingdom is losing. The game is lost. Right. And I do believe our work as men is to, who are you? What do you stand for? Ground down into that. Never fucking waver for anyone, including the king, including the queen.
Cool.
So my job is to not be nice. It's to be true. Right. And sometimes it's not nice. Here's my stupid analogy. Simple. This is so trivial, but you can expand out. When I go out with a nice guy, he doesn't tell me I have spinach in my teeth because he doesn't want to hurt my feelings. Right. He wants to be nice. I don't want you to be fucking nice. I want you to tell me I have spinach in my teeth or my fly's open or I'm being a dick or I hurt your feelings or 1,000 other things like that takes courage.
Yeah.
It's not nice.
Yeah. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I think Megan would like agree with you on this. I think we're both so excited about our partnership, and I'll use the example. She has these like she's very much a creative, very much an artist, and she dresses great. Like I love the way that she dresses. She always finds these like interesting, different, like she wears a lot of like floral patterns. And sometimes it's a little bit bold fashion wise. And I love it. It's super cool. And I think she's told me before that like, she feels like for the first time, she's really able to fully express herself and in this way. And I was like, that sounds like a healthy piece that I'm like, I think we're providing that a little bit for each other on some level,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like she's able to like fully express and maybe move about the board in a way that she didn't feel like she could before.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly where that stems from, but it does strike me that there's a real parallel there, which is super cool.
That's why it's so important for, even as you are married, and every man should can keep doing this work of who am I? Not who are we? Who am I?
Yeah.
Right? To make sure that we stay focused on our wholeness. Because I counsel so many guys. I also counsel women who are sick of these guys who have only defined themselves by her. He can't feel his feelings. He's outsourced them to her. She feels the feelings.
Yeah.
Right. And he can only feel through sex.
Yeah.
Right. So I need sex. And then she's feeling needed versus wanted. Right. That's a big shift.
That is a big difference.
And these nice guys, like, go find your own fucking center.
Totally.
And then come back to me. Right. And she wants that.
Let's go. Yeah. I love that. That's like it's interesting because I think that is so, like, we just kind of are like taught to like box in our feelings and not really typically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some biology there too. I don't know that it's all like culture, but I think that there is this piece of like, that's how we learn to like get about the world on some level. And it's like, actually, it's so much more liberating when you can find your center and have those waves of emotion passing through. And I wouldn't say that I'm perfect at that, but it's something that as I've aged, I've gotten way better at, and some of the things that I think mindfulness and coaching and all those different pieces can really help you get better at, right? And
to be able to find that without needing Megan, then when you're with her, it's like, I don't need you for this. I want you. Right. And then it's not the sort of, kind of creepy, the mother child thing. It's partners. Right. We're equals.
Yes.
And so many men, like, they're masters out in the domain of work, and then they come home and they're second-class citizens. Right. Whether it's with their partner, their kids, like the wife makes the social calendar plans, and
I relate a little bit to that.
We all do. It's work for a man to like, I'm going to meet you as an equal in this department.
Totally.
Right?
100%.
So it's great to be with a guy who is willing to look at this, especially, at a younger stage, as opposed to coming and talking with me in 10 years when it's like, oh shit.
Thanks.
It's so good to talk to you. It's really, and I thought maybe it would just be kind of AI focused, but you're way more dynamic certainly than that.
Oh, this is so fun. I'm learning a lot right now. So this is great for me. It's like reminding me of, I do think, right, I've been really heads down and focused on work right now. And I think it's easy to lose, which I think there's a time for that, right? Like I really am putting in probably 80-hour weeks, just like trying to really like lay the foundation of what the next steps are. And especially I'm getting married, so I want like a good foundation coming into that. And I think it's easy to lose your center in that, right? You can over index on this. And I think that this is like it's a little top heavy, right? Versus this is not. And they can sometimes look similar. So I think it's important to like, how do you drop back in and remind yourself of like, what is your purpose? What are you really trying to go for? What's your trajectory? Not from here, right? But from like a really centered place.
And you become your own ChatGPT, which is basically you just blowing yourself, telling yourself.
Exactly. It's good thinking, Patrick. Brilliant idea.
You should be here another 12 hours in the office and not at home. Of course, it's for her, right? Totally. This is guys ChatGPTing themselves. I'm doing it for her. I'm doing it for the kids. Right? This is bullshit.
Dude, totally.
They want you at home.
Right.
Like how many decimals do they need?
Right.
And she's going to leave you. She is. You know how many guys I've counseled who said, but she's leaving, but I just built all this for us. It's like, bullshit. You just chat GPT'd yourself.
Totally. I love that. I think that's a really good phrase.
Yeah.
You just chat GPT'd yourself. Like it's just, you're totally blowing yourself, dude.
And it can't be Claude yourself, because ChatGPT is the one that blows yourself.
It's the one that's the most sycophantic.
It's like,
100%.
Oh my God, stop being so condescending.
Totally.
I use it for trivial crap because I don't want to use up all my tokens now on Claude.
Good man. You're thinking about it the right way.
You're my Yoda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and this is interesting, right? Because the thing about Claude is that it trusts you. right? And you just said it. You're like, it is so condescending. It's like, it doesn't trust the human to be able to hold hard feedback, right?
ChatGPT.
Yeah. And I think Claude's is like, I wouldn't say it's perfect by any means. It'll totally blow you. But like, but I do think that there's something more satisfying of like, I want to be able to have like our genuine dialogue. And I'm trying to have this thing that's like, I think it's like, it's absorbed the entirety of the internet for better and for worse, big time. Right. But I think they've weighted it more towards some of the lighter elements and some of the pieces that are like, hey, this is like where like the sort of like paradigm is actually helping you and actually serving, and like you can actually get some like external perspective. And that's what I'm going for when I'm asking these machines. And when I'm asking ChatGPT something, it's telling me typically in my experience exactly what I think, what it thinks I want to hear. When I'm like,
keep using it,
and which I know I'm not quite right on this. So like, can you help me, find kind of the center? It can be a really like helpful thing in that. And so I think that that's where, the ChatGPT stuff, it's powerful and it's a great model in a lot of ways. So I don't want to totally knock it, but I think that like my thinking is 100%. I love using Claude for a lot of my more day-to-day stuff and the technical pieces too. And it's just so fun to use. I swear I'm not getting a kickback from Anthropic right now. But you can tell I'm a little bit of a fanboy. I feel like I
should say it if you use the 13-minute promo code.
Exactly. Dude, that's exactly right.
So this is a weird segue, but I run an organization called Men's Peer Groups. And it's actually the Claude sort of philosophy where as men, we will end up blowing ourselves. This is a weird sort of, phrase we keep using, but just telling ourselves what we want to hear. And we need other men to tell us hard things, to hear hard things.
Yep.
Right. And I don't know, man, I think I'm going to get you into a men's peer group.
That sounds great. I would love to.
It's so liberating to be in a space with men in particular where, because, as men, like the locker room and the boardroom, these are not places where men tell each other the truth. Yeah. And this is a place where we go to hear our truth and be authentic, be vulnerable, to receive it, to share it from a place of love. Yeah. It's liberating. It's Claude.
That's great. I love that. That's excellent. Yep. Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There's something about that. And for a long time, I sort of eschewed the boardroom or the locker room, right? I think especially there was an era culturally where everybody was like, you got to get out of there, stop being a pro. And then I've realized that like actually my male friendships, oftentimes they have an element of that, but it starts off as a foundation. And then we get comfortable with each other where we can go to these places where I think the peer group kind of leads of like this real like authenticity. And we're not just, helping each other below ourselves,
to continue the,
yeah, exactly. We're like, no, dude, stop that. Like, that's not helpful. Like you got some lettuce in your teeth, man. Right. Like that's not where you want to be. And I know that's not where you want to be. So I'm going to help you steer clear of that.
And so we call it instant intimacy, because, with your friends and with, people out there, you have to get there over time. But when you commit to a group of men to do this work, it's like, boom, we're in. Yeah. Right. We go like these guys. I'm in a couple different, I feel like the hair club guy. I'm not only the president, but I'm the user of my own product.
Yeah. Great.
And I'm in 2 peer groups. And the bottom line is I've known one of them I've only known for 12 months maybe, but I know them. They know me better than I know my friends for 50 years ago.
Cool.
Right. And so it's again, I can't believe we're coming to this place from AI, but it's the Claude of my real world.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried to launch a couple of peer groups at various points and they've never really quite established a rhythm. And I think that's like just my own like learning as a facilitator of like, how do you do that well? And
well, you'll appreciate this. One of the keys to our success is that we've really structured them, right? Because you need super the structure. It's sort of like AI where it needs a container, right? You can't tell it to be everything to everybody at all times, or else it'll be nothing to no one.
Yep.
And so we have this very structured thing. We borrowed it from YPO, an organization that has been running peer groups for a while, but then we've adapted it for men. And so it's structured, it's a container. Men need to sort of have that predictability, that knowing. Now inside the container, we can be a little more fluid and free, but that has been a big piece of the success of it.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah. All right. So peer group, we're going to get you into one-on-one. We're going to do some work,
Great.
and you're going to continue to enlighten me and guide me down a lot of paths, not the least of which is AI. But this is a friendship that's just burgeoning.
Yeah. Likewise. This is so great.
Yeah, it's an honor and privilege to get to know you and to have you on the show. And I know this is the first of many. So thank you.
Likewise.
All right,
Thank
brother.
you.
Take care.
Take care.